You're lying in bed. The lights are off, the world outside is quiet, but your mind, it won't stop. What if I messed up that message? Did I forget something important today? What if tomorrow everything goes wrong? You check the clock. It's 1:13 a.m. You sigh, toss to the other side, and try to breathe. But your thoughts keep looping, spinning, spiraling. This is overthinking, and it's not just a late-night nuisance. It's a silent thief. It steals your sleep, your peace, your focus. It can drain entire days without you even realizing it. Overthinking doesn't come with alarms. It creeps in slowly. One thought at a time. You feel it when you're trying to make a decision, but you freeze instead. You feel it when a simple comment from someone replays in your head for hours. You feel it when your to-do list becomes a monster you'd rather avoid. But the worst part, you think you're being productive. That maybe if you just think more, worry more, analyze more, you'll solve it. But that's the trap. Thinking more doesn't equal solving. In fact, it often makes things worse. Overthinking clouds your clarity, sabotages your confidence, and robs you of the present moment. You become stuck in a loop of what-ifs and should-haves, and maybe I'll just wait. Nick Trenton, the author of Stop Overthinking, lived in that loop. He knows what it feels like to obsess over every tiny mistake, to play out imaginary disasters, to freeze in place while life moves on. But he also discovered a way out, and he didn't find it in grand therapy sessions or spiritual retreats. He found it in simple, practical techniques, small actions that help break the pattern. One breath, one step, one shift in thinking. This video is your guide to those techniques. You'll learn how to stop mental spirals before they start, how to reclaim peace in moments of anxiety, how to declutter your mind and focus on what actually matters, how to stop your thoughts from controlling you and start choosing which thoughts deserve your time. These aren't just generic tips. These are techniques backed by psychology, by real stories, by science. Some will surprise you, others might sound too simple to work, but when you put them into practice, they change everything. Have you ever heard of thought labeling? It's one of the tools we'll talk about. Or how about the noise-canceling trick for your brain? Did you know that how you sit or move your body can instantly reduce overthinking patterns in your brain? This isn't a video full of fluff. It's not about being positive all the time or pretending life is easy. It's about facing your mind, learning its traps, and learning how to disarm them, one moment at a time. Whether you overthink in relationships, in your work, with your health, or your past, this book offers you something deeper than a quick fix. It offers you a way to take your power back, to think clearly, live presently, and finally breathe freely. So stay with us till the end, because somewhere between the noise and the silence, the rush and the pause, there's a technique that will speak directly to you. A sentence, a method, a small shift. That could be the start of your freedom from overthinking. Welcome to Narrative Society, where we break down the most powerful ideas from life-changing books. If you're ready to silence the noise and hear your own voice again, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's begin. Before we talk about the techniques to stop overthinking, we have to understand what overthinking actually is. It's not just thinking too much. It's a loop, a never-ending cycle of analyzing, worrying, imagining worst-case scenarios, revisiting past conversations, and trying to predict the future. It's mental noise that doesn't lead to solutions, only stress. Overthinking feels like control, but it's actually fear disguised as logic. It convinces you that the more you think, the safer you'll be. But the truth is, the more you overthink, the more anxious and stuck you become.
You sit down to make a decision, something simple, like sending an email, but you type, delete, retype, pause, wonder, what if it sounds wrong? What if I missed a detail? Maybe I should double check, triple check, maybe tomorrow, and just like that, a 2-minute task stretches into hours of internal tension. The body remains still, but the mind is exhausted.
Overthinking doesn't just delay action, it damages confidence, it builds doubt, it drains energy, it can make you second guess even the smallest steps, and over time it becomes a habit that feels like a personality trait, but it's not who you are, it's something you do, and anything you do can be undone. That's why it's so important to catch it early, to address it, to break the cycle before it becomes the default mode of your mind. Emotional health suffers when the mind is constantly spinning. Overthinking floods your system with stress hormones. It triggers anxiety. It interferes with sleep, concentration, creativity. It makes joy feel distant. Peace feels unnatural. You become more reactive, less grounded. Relationships suffer. Work suffers. You suffer. And yet, it can feel impossible to stop. Because overthinking is loud, persistent, logical. It uses your own intelligence against you. But there is a way through, and it begins with awareness. One of the simplest yet most powerful frameworks for breaking the grip of overthinking is called the 4 A's of stress management: avoid, alter, accept, and adapt. The first A is avoid. It means recognizing that some stressors are unnecessary. Some situations, some people, some tasks, we put ourselves in them out of habit, not need. Avoiding doesn't mean running away from responsibility. It means being smart with your energy. It's okay to say no. It's okay to step back. You don't have to answer every message immediately. You don't have to attend every event. You don't have to fix every problem. If something is causing constant stress and it's not essential, create distance. Overthinking thrives in chaos. Avoiding chaos is not weakness, it's wisdom. The second A is alter. This is about changing the situation. Overthinking often comes from feeling powerless, but what if you had more power than you thought? You can alter how you communicate. You can alter your environment. You can change your routine. You can set boundaries. You can speak up instead of staying silent. If someone's words linger in your head for days, maybe it's time for a conversation. If a task keeps bothering you, maybe it needs to be simplified. Overthinking tries to convince you nothing can change. Altering proves it wrong. The third A is accept. Some things you can't control. You can't change the past. You can't force people to act how you want. You can't guarantee outcomes. Acceptance is not giving up. It's releasing resistance. It's saying, this is how it is right now, and I choose to deal with it rather than fight it. When you accept uncertainty, you stop overanalyzing every possibility. When you accept imperfection, you stop criticizing every move. Acceptance clears the mind. It creates space for clarity. The fourth A is adapt. Life won't always be easy. Stress won't disappear, but you can grow stronger, more flexible, more grounded. Adapting means adjusting your expectations, reframing your thoughts. Adapting means seeing failure as feedback, not a final judgment. It means learning to bend without breaking. The mind that adapts doesn't cling to should or must. It flows, and when you adapt, overthinking loses its power, because you're no longer trying to control everything. You're responding, not reacting. Let's take a simple example. You're invited to speak at a meeting. You start to panic. You imagine stumbling, forgetting your points, being judged. You rehearse in your head 100 times. You don't sleep. You think about canceling. Avoid. Can you say no or reschedule if it's not mandatory? If it's a small event and your plate is full, you might be able to skip it without guilt. Alter. Can you prepare better? Can you ask for the agenda? Can you practice once with a friend to ease the nerves? Accept. Can you accept that nervousness is normal? That not everyone will judge you harshly? That even if you mess up, it won't be the end? Adapt. Can you treat it as a learning experience? A step in growth? Can you find humor in the discomfort? The 4A's work like filters for your stress. When you apply them, overthinking starts to shrink. The volume goes down. The pressure eases. You start to realize most of your mental spirals are optional, not real, just habits, just noise. And when you learn to manage stress, you unlock more than peace. You unlock energy, focus, clarity. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop spiraling and start moving. Before you can change how you think, you must understand why you think the way you do. Overthinking is not your fault. It's a result of fear, pressure, uncertainty, but it doesn't have to own you. Awareness breaks the chain. Intention reclaims your power. The 4A's are not rules. They're reminders. You always have a choice. Overthinking makes you forget that these techniques help you remember. You're sitting at your desk, but your mind is somewhere else, replaying yesterday's awkward moment, worrying about tomorrow's meeting, wondering what they meant when they said that thing. The body is still, but the brain is spinning. That's what overthinking does. It pulls you out of the present and traps you in the past or future. But here's the truth. Peace only exists in one place. Now. Mindfulness is the antidote to that mental storm. It's not about emptying your mind or reaching some perfect state of Zen. It's simply noticing, paying attention, being aware of what's happening right now without judgment. Mindfulness means you observe your thoughts instead of being consumed by them. You witness your emotions instead of drowning in them. You realize that a thought is just a thought, not a command, not a fact, not your identity. Try this. Take a breath. In slowly, out slowly. That's mindfulness. You just noticed your breath. You became aware of the air entering your body. You weren't trying to fix anything. You were just present. That tiny moment matters, because when you train your brain to return to the now, you interrupt the cycle of overthinking. You replace worry with awareness, tension with presence. Mindful breathing is one of the simplest techniques. You don't need a quiet room or special posture. You can do it at your desk, on a walk, even in the middle of a conversation. Just shift your attention to your breath. Count it. Feel it. That awareness grounds you. You can't obsess over the future and be present in your breath at the same time. Another practice is observation. Look around and name 5 things you can see, then 4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. This sensory check-in pulls you out of your head and back into your body. The brain wants to drift, to analyze, but you gently guide it home. You might still have racing thoughts. That's okay. Mindfulness doesn't mean having a blank mind. It means seeing those thoughts, letting them pass without attaching to them. Imagine your thoughts like clouds drifting across the sky. You don't chase them. You don't fight them. You let them float by. That distance changes everything. You stop believing every scary story your mind creates. You learn to respond instead of react. Some thoughts are sticky, loud, repetitive. They tell you you're not good enough, that something bad will happen, that you can't handle it. These thoughts don't just make you anxious, they shape how you see the world. And this is where cognitive behavioral techniques come in. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is based on one powerful idea. Your thoughts affect your feelings, which affect your actions. Change the thought, and everything shifts. It starts with awareness. What are you saying to yourself? What's the voice in your head repeating over and over? Let's say you're about to give a presentation. Your thought is, I'm going to mess this up. That creates anxiety. Your heart races. Your hands shake. You feel frozen. Maybe you cancel or rush through it. The thought created the feeling, which influenced your action. But what if you challenged that thought? Is it true that you'll mess up? Do you have evidence? Have you done something like this before and survived? Could it go well? Could it be okay even if it's not perfect? That's called reframing. You're not lying to yourself, you're offering a different perspective, a more balanced one. I'm nervous, but I've prepared. I've done harder things. It doesn't have to be perfect to be valuable. That new thought calms your body. That calm helps you perform better. The spiral stops. Reframing is a skill. It takes practice. You start by noticing your automatic thoughts, the ones that pop up without warning, then you examine them. Are they helpful? Are they true? Are they kind? If not, you replace them. You talk to yourself the way you talk to a friend, with compassion, with logic, with patience. Another technique is labeling. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, you say, I'm having a thought that I'm a failure. That small shift creates distance. You are not your thought. You are the observer of your thought. And that observer has power. That observer can choose what to believe and what to release. Sometimes overthinking shows up as catastrophizing. You imagine the worst-case scenario. One mistake becomes a disaster. One rejection becomes proof that you're unworthy. CBT helps you zoom out to ask, what's the most likely outcome? What's the best-case scenario? What's a more realistic way to look at this? You can even write it down. Thought, I'll never get this job. Challenge, I've prepared, I have experience. I've done well in interviews before. Reframe, it's one opportunity. I'll do my best. And if it doesn't work out, I'll keep going. Writing helps you see your thoughts more clearly. It turns abstract fear into something you can face. Mindfulness and CBT don't erase thoughts. They change your relationship with them. You become less reactive, less overwhelmed. You start to feel like you're in control again, like you have choices. And that's what overthinking steals your sense of choice. These techniques give it back. There's nothing weak about needing help managing your mind. The strongest people are the ones who train their minds with care and discipline, who face the discomfort instead of running from it, who question their fears instead of obeying them. That strength begins with awareness, with breathing, with questioning, with reframing, one thought at a time. And over time, those small moments stack up. A breath here, a reframe there. Suddenly, you realize you didn't spiral today. You didn't overanalyze. You were present. You were calm. You were enough. And you always were. You carry stress in your body long before your mind realizes it. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, stiff neck, signs that your thoughts are louder than your awareness. When you overthink, your brain isn't the only thing working overtime. Your body absorbs the pressure too, and sometimes the fastest way to calm your mind is by relaxing your muscles. That's where progressive muscle relaxation comes in. It's a simple technique, but its effects go deep. Progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR, is the act of consciously tensing and then releasing different muscle groups in your body, one at a time. It sounds easy, almost too easy, but that's its genius. It gives you back control when your thoughts are racing. Your body is your anchor, and PMR is how you drop that anchor. You start at the top or the bottom. Either way works. Let's say you begin with your feet. Curl your toes tightly, hold them for 5 seconds, then let go. Feel the difference between tension and relaxation. Next, your calves. Flex them, hold, breathe, release. Slowly you move up through your body. Thighs, hips, stomach, chest, arms, hands, neck, jaw, and even the muscles around your eyes. Each area holds on to more than you expect. The point isn't to force relaxation, it's to become aware of what tension feels like and how it melts away when you let it. It's a physical practice that mirrors an emotional truth. You can't always control what comes in, but you can choose how long you hold it. When your muscles relax, your nervous system follows. Your breathing slows, your heart rate evens out. Your brain receives the message that you are safe, not in danger, not under attack. Just here, just present. That's powerful when your mind is spinning with fear, doubt, or self-judgment. PMR is especially helpful if you struggle to fall asleep. The moment your head hits the pillow, your thoughts come alive. But if you guide your body through relaxation, you disrupt the mental pattern. You turn your attention inward, not to thoughts, but to sensations. You give your brain a new job. Listen to the body, feel the release. This technique also trains your awareness. Most of us don't notice our tension until it becomes pain. We normalize tight shoulders. We ignore the clenched jaw. PMR brings it all into focus, and with focus comes change. You realize how much stress you carry every day. You realize how much lighter you feel when you let go. It's not about perfection. Maybe you only make it halfway through the body before your mind wanders. That's okay. Come back to the breath. Come back to the next muscle group. The act of returning is the practice. It's not a failure to get distracted. It's proof that you're human. What matters is the choice to return. Some people find it helpful to pair PMR with breath work. As you tense a muscle group, inhale deeply. As you release, exhale slowly. That rhythm, tension, and release. Inhale and exhale creates a wave of calm. It's a message to your entire system that you are not in fight or flight. You're in rest and recover. You are safe, and that's when your brain stops panicking. Others combine PMR with visualization. As you release the tension, imagine it leaving your body like smoke, or see the stress as knots untying, or feel warmth replacing the tightness. The mind loves imagery, and when paired with physical sensation, it learns even faster. This technique can also become a kind of emotional release. Tension often holds hidden emotions, anger in the fists, fear in the stomach, grief in the chest. When you relax those areas, emotions may rise. That's not something to fear, it's something to welcome. Your body has been holding what your mind couldn't process. Now it's letting it go. Use PMR when you're anxious. Use it before a big presentation, during a stressful day, after a difficult conversation. Use it even when you're not in crisis, because that's how it becomes a habit, a tool you can access without thinking, a reset button for your body and mind. Don't rush it. PMR works best when you slow down. Give each muscle group your full attention. Notice the difference between tension and release. Breathe through it. Let yourself be in your body fully. That in itself is a form of meditation.
You don't need to be an expert. You don't need a quiet room, though that helps. You don't need fancy equipment. You only need your body, your breath, and a few minutes of your time. That's the beauty of it. It's available anytime, anywhere.
Progressive muscle relaxation isn't just a stress technique, it's a form of self-connection, a moment where you check in with yourself not through thoughts, but through sensation. You realize how much you've been holding. You give yourself permission to release, and that moment of release, it ripples out. It shifts your mood, your clarity, your sense of peace. There's a difference between pushing through stress and dissolving it. BMR helps you dissolve it, bit by bit, breath by breath, muscle by muscle. You stop fighting your body and start listening to it. That listening is where healing begins. Overthinking keeps you trapped in your head. PMR brings you back to the body. It reminds you that peace isn't a place you find. It's a state you create. And it starts with one breath, one clench, one release at a time. Your mind doesn't always know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. That's why visualization works. When you picture something deeply, a peaceful place, a successful moment, or a calm resolution, your body and brain respond as if it's truly happening. The heart rate slows, the muscles loosen, the mind unclenches its grip. You begin to shift from chaos to clarity. Visualization is not wishful thinking, it's mental rehearsal. It's training your brain to find focus in a storm. Close your eyes and see yourself standing at the edge of a quiet forest. The air is cool. The leaves rustle softly, and the sunlight filters gently through the trees. You're safe. You're calm. You breathe deeply and slowly. Every breath quiets the noise. You feel grounded. That image alone can shift your nervous system. And it's always available to you. You carry that forest in your mind, ready to be revisited whenever the world becomes too loud. You can also use visualization to picture success, not a fantasy, but a scene you can mentally step into. Imagine yourself completing the task that's been haunting you, finishing the presentation, having the conversation, saying what needs to be said. Picture yourself calm, composed, capable. See the outcome you want, not the fear you dread. This doesn't guarantee a perfect result, but it teaches your brain a new possibility, one that isn't ruled by anxiety. When your mind is spiraling with worry, visualization interrupts the loop. It offers a new path. It replaces fear with familiarity. And the more you practice it, the more your brain begins to believe it. That's how mental habits are formed, not by force, but by repetition. Alongside visualization, another powerful release tool is journaling. When thoughts stay in your head, they multiply, they tangle, they distort. But when you write them down, they lose their grip. Journaling is a mirror. It shows you what you're really thinking, and it gives you space to examine those thoughts from a distance. Grab a notebook. Start writing. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, or structure. Just pour out your worries. Get them out of your mind and onto the page. See them clearly. Are they rational? Are they recurring? Are they really yours or borrowed from someone else's fear? Writing slows down the mind. It forces clarity. It transforms chaos into coherence. You can journal in the morning to set your intentions, or at night to unload the day. You can make lists, write letters you never send, or free write without stopping. There's no single method. The goal is to create an outlet, a safe space where your thoughts are seen and heard. You may be surprised by what comes out. Insights, patterns, answers you didn't know were waiting. Journaling also allows you to track progress. What worried you last week may not worry you today. That's growth. That's healing. And when you can see it on paper, it becomes real. Still, even with the best tools, overthinking can return if your environment keeps pulling you back into stress. That's why boundaries are essential. Saying no isn't selfish, it's survival. You can't heal your mind in a space that constantly drains it. You can't find clarity if everyone else's demands are louder than your own needs. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your energy. They define what you accept and what you won't. They're not walls, they're doors you control. Who gets your time? Who gets your emotional labor? What do you say yes to? Out of guilt, not joy. These are the questions boundaries help answer. Start small. Say no to that event you don't want to attend. Turn off notifications after a certain hour. Let someone know you need time to think before responding. Block out time for yourself. Not for productivity, but for peace. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to protect your attention. Sometimes the hardest boundaries are the ones we set with ourselves. Turning off the phone when the scroll gets toxic, stopping the mental replay of a conversation that's long over, refusing to carry guilt that doesn't belong to you. These aren't easy, but they're necessary. And when others push against your boundaries because they will stand firm, not with anger, but with clarity. You are not responsible for their reactions. You are responsible for your own mental space. Let that be your priority. Let your peace matter more than people pleasing. Visualization, journaling, and boundaries, these aren't just techniques. They're acts of self-respect. They remind you that you have power, not over everything, but over how you respond, over what you allow, over what you carry, and what you choose to release. As you move through these tools, remember, you don't need to do everything at once. Choose one. Practice it. Let it become part of your rhythm, then build from there. Overthinking loses its grip, not through one big breakthrough, but through consistent moments of clarity. One breath, one sentence, one boundary at a time. It starts with a feeling tight in the chest, fast in the head. But most of the time, that feeling doesn't even have a name. It just moves like a shadow, heavy and vague. That's where the name entertainment strategy becomes powerful. It's simple, but transformative. When you pause and say, "This is anxiety," or "I feel overwhelmed," your brain shifts from emotion to logic. It stops reacting and starts processing. Just like turning on a light in a dark room, labeling what you feel shrinks its power. You're not pretending the emotion doesn't exist. You're just taking away its mystery. And mystery is what makes emotions feel out of control. By naming your emotion, you bring awareness to the moment. You create space between the trigger and your response. You no longer get swept away. Instead, you watch the tide and understand it. Neuroscience supports this too. Naming emotions activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking. It slows down the amygdala, your panic button, so the next time you feel it coming, stop, breathe, say it. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm afraid I'll fail. These labels aren't weakness, they're control. They tell your brain, I see this, I'm not running anymore. And once you've labeled the storm, how do you come back to the shore? You use your senses. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding exercise is a direct bridge to the present moment. When thoughts start spinning, this is your lifeline. Look around, say 5 things you can see: a book, a lamp, a window, a shadow, a crack in the ceiling. Then touch 4 things: your sleeve, the chair, the floor, your own hand. Next, listen for 3 sounds: a bird, a ticking clock, your own breath. Then notice 2 smells: coffee, soap, the air. Finally, taste one thing, even if it's just the taste in your mouth. This method pulls your brain out of the abstract. It brings it back to what's real. Overthinking happens in the future or the past. Grounding happens in the now, and the now is manageable. You can't spiral when you're focused on a chair leg or the scent of your tea. You teach your brain that it doesn't have to wander, doesn't have to imagine worst-case scenarios. It can just be. It's not magic. It's biology. When your senses are engaged, your brain has less room for fear. But what about thoughts that don't stop coming? Thoughts that keep knocking on the door all day long. You don't have to answer every time. That's where the worry window comes in. It's a powerful cognitive technique that gives your mind structure. You choose a time, say 6 a.m. to 6:15 p.m., and that's the only time you allow yourself to worry. When an anxious thought pops up at noon, you don't push it away. You just say, "Not now, later." You write it down if you need to. You schedule it. And when 6 a.m. comes, you sit with those worries, if they still feel important. Most of them won't. The act of postponing teaches your brain that worry has a place. Not all places. That stress isn't an all-day soundtrack. It's just a brief meeting. You show your mind who's in charge. You don't eliminate worry. You organize it. And by doing that, you shrink it. The worry window is not about avoidance. It's about containment. And containment creates calm. You realize how many worries weren't urgent at all. You start recognizing patterns. And in time, the window gets smaller. Maybe it disappears. This trio of techniques is about reclaiming space. Labeling gives your emotions shape. Grounding gives your mind an anchor. Scheduling worry gives your brain boundaries. Together, they untangle the knots that build up in silence. Overthinking feels like something you have no control over. But these small, simple practices prove otherwise. They prove that the storm can be paused, not ignored, not erased. Just paused, long enough for clarity to enter. No one teaches us how to talk to our thoughts. Most people try to outrun them or bury them. But Nick Trenton shows that facing them slowly, gently, and with strategy is the way out. These are tools, not theories, not ideas. Tools to be used in the quiet hours when everything feels loud, to be used when you wake up at 3:00 a.m. with your heart racing, to be used when a single email spins your day into dread. And the beauty is, these tools are free, always there, always ready. The more you use them, the faster your mind learns to shift, not by force, not by willpower, just by practice, naming, grounding, scheduling. This is how chaos softens, not by fixing everything, but by doing one small thing again and again, until your brain remembers peace. When the inner critic starts to whisper, it doesn't just comment, it tears down. It repeats past mistakes like an old, broken record, and predicts future failure with absolute confidence. That voice becomes a habit, louder with time, sharper with repetition. But self-compassion is how you interrupt it. Not with ego, not with delusion, with gentleness, with truth. You don't need to pretend everything's perfect. You just need to stop being your own worst enemy. The next time your mind says, "You always mess this up," answer it differently. Say, "I'm doing the best I can," or "That was hard, but I'm still trying." Speak the way you would to someone you love. Self-compassion doesn't mean giving yourself excuses. It means giving yourself a chance. It means recognizing that mistakes don't define you, that one bad day, one wrong choice, doesn't make you a failure. The more you talk to yourself with kindness, the quieter the storm becomes, the tension starts to loosen, the panic begins to fade, and suddenly the problem doesn't feel so overwhelming. The harsh voice loses its edge. You're not silencing it. You're replacing it with honesty, with care, and that changes everything. Sometimes kindness alone isn't enough. Sometimes the mind is like a wheel spinning too fast to slow down. In those moments, redirection becomes a powerful tool, not avoidance, not escape. Distraction with purpose, something active, something intentional. Picking up a book, going for a walk, drawing, playing music, cleaning, movement breaks thought loops. Focus on something else, and you give your brain a rest. It's not about pretending the worry doesn't exist. It's about giving it less air, less time, less space. A purposeful distraction doesn't hide the problem. It gives you distance from it. Distance creates clarity, and clarity makes problems solvable. When you shift your energy toward creating, engaging, or contributing, you remind yourself there's more to your life than worry. You are not your anxiety. You are not your worst-case scenario. You are not stuck. A healthy distraction can be 5 minutes of stillness with your tea. It can be sketching a rough idea. It can be texting someone you care about. Whatever keeps your mind from circling the drain. Whatever gives you a moment to breathe. But sometimes, thoughts don't wait politely. They storm in like uninvited guests, and they don't leave on their own. That's where the thought-stopping technique comes in. It's bold, it's direct, and it works. When that thought appears again, the one that says you're not good enough, that you'll never be okay, you stop it. Out loud, if you can, stop. Or mentally, with force, stop. It breaks the loop. It interrupts the pattern. The brain doesn't expect resistance, and that's why it works. The goal isn't to argue with the thought. The goal is to block its momentum. After you stop the thought, replace it. Not with something exaggerated or fake, just something neutral. This isn't helpful. Or something positive, if it feels honest. I've been through worse. I'm still here. I can figure this out. It might feel strange at first, like you're talking back to something invisible, but over time, it becomes a habit. The brain learns that not every thought deserves airtime. Not every worry gets to speak on repeat. You become the editor, not just the reader, and with enough practice, the loops lose power. They show up less. They stay shorter. Your brain gets quieter. Perspective is another weapon in this toolkit. The 10-10-10-10 rule is a simple question with a powerful impact. It asks, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? It snaps you out of tunnel vision. It shows you the timeline your fear doesn't want you to see. What feels unbearable now might be irrelevant in a few weeks. What seems like a crisis might become a footnote. That email, that comment, that awkward moment, they shrink when stretched over time. They lose their hold. When your brain is stuck on a loop, it tricks you into thinking that this moment is forever, that the discomfort will last. But the 10-10-10 rule proves otherwise. It gives you a bird's eye view. It separates urgency from importance. It reminds you that most thoughts are temporary. Most situations evolve. Most mistakes can be fixed or forgotten. And even the big things, the ones that still matter in 10 years, can be approached with more grace when the panic is gone. These 4 techniques together, self-compassion, distraction, thought-stopping, and time perspective, create a powerful mental shift. They move you out of helplessness and into action. They teach you how to respond to your mind instead of reacting to it. They give you tools, not just advice. Each one stands alone, but they're strongest together. One soothes, one redirects, one interrupts, and one reframes. And none of them require perfection. Just effort, just repetition, just a moment of awareness. You won't always get it right. You'll forget. You'll fall back into old habits. But that's where compassion steps in again. You don't punish yourself for slipping. You start again, and again, and again. That's the heart of this process. Not getting it perfect, but not giving up. A quiet mind is built through small steps, through choosing the next right thing, even when the noise returns, through holding space for peace, even when worry knocks on the door. Overthinking doesn't end in one day, but it weakens every time you choose to handle it differently. Information bombards us every day. Headlines flashing urgent crises, social media feeds overflowing with opinions, notifications demanding attention. It's no wonder the mind feels overwhelmed, tangled in a web of external noise. Mental clutter often isn't just internal. It comes from what we consume. The constant influx of news and updates feeds anxiety and fuels overthinking. Limiting that intake becomes essential. It doesn't mean ignorance or avoidance. It means choosing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Reducing news and social media consumption clears space in your mind. It calms the storm. When you turn off the noise, your thoughts settle. You begin to distinguish what's truly important from what's just distraction. You create mental breathing room. You regain control over what influences your mood and thoughts. Creating a routine offers a similar kind of relief. Chaos thrives in unpredictability. When each day feels like a puzzle, with missing pieces, the mind strains to adapt. Decision fatigue sets in, and anxiety grows. But structure brings rhythm. A steady, predictable pattern grounds your day. It builds momentum. Knowing when to wake, eat, work, rest, and sleep reduces the endless questions and choices that wear down your energy. A routine doesn't have to be rigid or boring. It's a framework that supports your well-being. It transforms chaos into order. By planning your day, you prevent overwhelm before it starts. The mind feels safer when it can anticipate what's next. You conserve energy to focus on what matters, rather than getting lost in scattered thoughts. Practicing gratitude is another powerful shift. When overthinking drags you into fears and worries, gratitude pulls you back toward what's good and solid in your life. It changes your lens. Writing down 3 things you're thankful for each day rewires your brain to seek fulfillment instead of fear. Gratitude is like a spotlight on the positives, however small. It could be the warmth of morning sunlight, a kind word from a friend, or simply a breath of fresh air. These moments counterbalance anxiety and negative spiral. They remind you that despite challenges, there is still joy, connection, and beauty. Over time, gratitude becomes a habit. It doesn't erase problems, but it softens their impact and strengthens resilience. Breathing techniques offer a direct route to calm. The mind and body are linked. When anxiety strikes, breathing becomes shallow and rapid, fueling the panic. Deep, slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural calming mechanism. One simple method is box breathing. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold the breath for 4, exhale for 4, then hold again for 4. This steady rhythm slows your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and quiets the mind. The focus on breath pulls attention away from spiraling thoughts and anchors you in the present. You can do this anywhere, at your desk, in bed, or waiting in line. With practice, it becomes a tool to interrupt anxiety before it grows. Sometimes, overthinking feels like carrying a heavy load alone. Verbalizing thoughts helps release that weight. Talking to someone you trust creates space for your worries to be heard, without judgment. It's not about finding solutions or advice every time. It's about being understood. When you speak your thoughts aloud, they lose their power to multiply inside your head. The fear shrinks. The confusion clears. Choose someone patient and compassionate. Someone who listens and holds your thoughts gently. The act of sharing turns a private battle into a shared human experience. It reminds you that you are not alone in the struggle. Support doesn't have to fix everything. Sometimes just being heard is enough to bring relief. Limiting information, creating routines, practicing gratitude, mindful breathing, and seeking trusted voices. These techniques form a circle of support for the overwhelmed mind. Each one tackles different sources of mental noise. Together they build clarity, calm, and connection. They don't promise a perfect mind, but they do offer peace in the present moment. The power is in small, consistent steps, in the choices to protect your mental space, to organize your day, to appreciate the good, to breathe through the chaos, and to share your story. When practiced often, these habits become shields against overthinking's grip. They remind you that the mind can be your ally, not your enemy. Positive self-talk isn't just fluff. It's a powerful tool to build resilience against overthinking. Using affirmations helps to rewire the brain, steering thoughts away from negativity and fear toward calm and confidence. Simple phrases like, "I am safe," "This thought is not permanent," or "I control my focus," repeated regularly, act as gentle reminders that you hold power over your mind. Affirmations create a foundation of inner strength. They aren't about ignoring problems, but about facing them with kindness and clarity. When you catch your mind spiraling, these phrases can interrupt the noise, bringing you back to a balanced place. Over time, this practice builds mental toughness, helping you stay grounded even when worries arise. Letting go of perfectionism is another vital step. Perfectionism often fuels paralysis, waiting endlessly for the right moment or the perfect conditions before taking action. This traps you in cycles of doubt and hesitation. Instead of aiming for flawless focus on progress and completion, striving for done rather than perfect frees your mind from unrealistic standards that amplify overthinking. Each step forward, no matter how small, builds momentum. When you release the need to control every detail, you make space for creativity, growth, and learning. It's okay to stumble, to make mistakes, and to improve as you go. Perfectionism keeps you stuck. Embracing imperfection moves you ahead. Reframing problems as challenges shifts your mindset from threat to opportunity. Overthinking often asks, "Why is this happening to me?" This question traps you in victimhood, reinforcing feelings of helplessness and fear. Instead, try asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" This simple change opens doors to growth and understanding. Challenges become puzzles to solve rather than insurmountable walls. When you see problems as lessons, your brain stops spinning in circles and starts seeking solutions. This mindset transforms anxiety into curiosity, fear into motivation. It empowers you to face difficulties with a sense of purpose and resilience. Embracing impermanence is a profound way to soften the grip of overthinking. Many overthoughts assume permanence. They feel like permanent truths or permanent problems. But every thought, feeling, and situation is temporary. Reminding yourself that this too shall pass brings comfort in moments of overwhelm. Just as waves rise and fall, emotions and thoughts move through you. They don't define you, and they don't last forever. This awareness creates distance from the intensity of your worries. It's a reminder that no matter how heavy the mind feels now, relief is possible. Accepting impermanence lets you observe your thoughts without getting trapped, giving you space to breathe and choose your response. Together, these final techniques, affirmations, releasing perfectionism, reframing challenges, and embracing impermanence, complete the toolkit for quieting an overactive mind. They build resilience, perspective, and compassion toward yourself. Overthinking may never fully disappear, but with these strategies, its power diminishes. You reclaim control over your thoughts, turning chaos into clarity. Your mind becomes a place of strength, growth, and calm. Overthinking can feel like a storm inside your mind, relentless and exhausting. But remember, every technique you've learned is a tool to calm that storm, to clear the clouds, and find peace. The power to quiet your mind isn't locked away somewhere. It's already within you. Small steps repeated daily build new habits that reshape how you think and feel. It takes practice, patience, and kindness toward yourself. Here's an activity to help you put these techniques into action right now. The Thought Pause Challenge. Whenever you catch yourself slipping into overthinking, pause, take a deep breath, and silently count down from 5 to 1. As you reach 1, name the thought or feeling that's troubling you, just like in the Name It to Tame It technique. Then choose one of the techniques you've learned today, maybe a calming affirmation, a grounding exercise, or reframing the problem as a challenge. Write down what you noticed. How did pausing change your reaction? Did labeling your emotion help? Did shifting your perspective lighten the burden? Try this pause at least 3 times a day for a week. Many who have tried this simple challenge report feeling more control over their thoughts, less trapped in negative spirals, and more able to focus on the present moment. Some even find it easier to fall asleep, calmer in stressful situations, and more confident in decision-making. We'd love to hear how this exercise works for you. Share your experiences in the comments below. What techniques helped most? What surprised you? Your journey might inspire others struggling with overthinking too. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Narrative Society, where your mind finds clarity and calm. If you found value here, don't forget to subscribe and join our community. Together, we'll keep discovering ways to live with greater peace and focus.